Every year, thousands report the same experience. Abductions, missing time, and encounters with beings not from this earth. They were taken, and now they're using hypnosis to find out the truth. This is Taken, the Regression Files.
First of all, I see a greenish type of light, and that's definitely like coming from some sort of source, green, turquoise, that sort of thing. I'm just starting to feel like frightened because I just don't know what it is, and it's just getting brighter and brighter to the point that I feel it's gonna just like consume me completely.
So it's moving closer.
Yes.
What happens when it reaches you?
I just like I start to feel like sick to my stomach. I just feel like um I just feel like I'm being pulled um from my bed basically. Um,
Tell me what you see or what you sense or what you feel.
I just okay, there's definitely like a couple of um presences, beings around me. Um
And how do you feel when they're around you?
I don't know, it doesn't feel like too nice. At least not with these ones.
What do they look like?
Uh, they're tall and kind of silver in color. I wouldn't say gray, it's like a silvery skin. I don't know, they look like I don't even know, they're like um equ- uh, they look like they live under the sea.
Okay.
Um just weird fish type of eyes, and um there's a they're definitely like tall, and they definitely have long limbs. Um have big eyes, but not the type of eyes that we usually see. They're round. They look like fish eyes. And their skin just looks like they've come from some sort of water, or, the
Do they have scales?
kind of, but when you look very close and you see the shape, it's very faint. You can't really like see it unless they like shine
So
towards a certain light.
they don't stick up then.
No.
It's more of the pattern.
Hmm.
Okay.
Um, the heads are kind of almost a little bit heart shaped, and they have these round eyes that are stuck on these both sides. It really reminds me of a fish, big fish or type of, I don't know, I just don't like what I see.
Are they all the same kind of being?
Mm. There's um there's there's a few that look gray and they look kind of silver in color, and there's one that's um white in color and tall, and that one looks a bit different. Um, almost like looks like a type of insect to me.
What kind of insect?
I
Look
don't
at it
know,
closely. Uh-huh.
type of mantis type of, I think.
Okay,
I just really don't like the look of it.
it's okay. Remember, you're just observing. Do you know what they want? What do they say they want?
Um, I think they focus on the lots of blood extraction, and they focus a lot around my reproductive area, so my eggs.
Okay. Do they say anything to you?
They never they never they never harm me or anything, you know. They always say it's going to be okay and that I'm fine and that I'm safe, and then but I just really don't like how they look.
Okay, that's okay. That's just
That's
a look. Looks can be deceiving.
I know. Um, they just seem to I don't know, they don't seem to be I there's no evilness there that I don't feel it's like some evil being trying to harm me, but you know, it's not nice when, you know, you're getting poked and things taken from you either.
Right.
And I just feel so helpless, like I can't even do anything.
Did they say why they were taking these things from you?
They mentioned some type of fifth generational thing.
Fifth generational?
Like the fifth in line or something like that. I don't know. That's something to do with, I don't know, someone in my family, or you know, it's almost like they don't want to like cause any harm, but it's just something that they like are programmed to do, I suppose. They are not trying to like hurt anyone. It's just so programmed that they they come and do these things to whoever is assigned to do that. Whoever is, let's speak, whoever is assigned for that. And it's generally they do mention it's 5 generations.
Okay. Did they happen to say why they're working with your family?
They keep mentioning the fifth generation uh, of a hybrid, I suppose, from 5 generations before. They say that someone within my family first started doing this, agreed to do this, and that's how it just began. And it's just something that they're just programmed to do and
Okay.
follow through certain protocols. It started with someone 5 generations before, and it's almost like there's no option or choice to not be part of that. Um, it's something that's just was almost signed or done and um, followed and you know followed upon to watch progress happening.
Okay.
But they say that it's like it. They did say that it wasn't intentional at first. It just seemed to happen at one point.
Okay. Have they said, or have they told you when this started?
I keep seeing or I keep sensing around the 1600 and something, I think.
Okay.
It's a long, basically not. Uh, it's been going on a while now. It's not just something that began recently. It's a
Right.
long time, and I don't know why I just keep mentioning the number 5. Mm, I don't seem to understand what that's about.
Is there
And
another significance for the number 5 besides 5 generations?
it could be the fifth hybridization program, fifth in line. I think it's
Okay.
it's all I can understand.
Okay.
But it's a program that um it's a program that has its cycles, and it has its different start lines and end lines, and then when it happens again after a while, I, I think I'm perceiving this as a fifth hybridization program, trying to perfect the program itself. It takes time, and it takes generations and generations to do. It's not something that you can just do within a day or a week or a month. It takes a lot of time and a lot of study as well.
Do the beings that you're working with have a name?
Ag Aglioconti, something like that. AG
Aglioconti.
Agliocontis or Anglioconti or something like that. It's a very definitely Aglioconti. Yes, that's what I'm getting.
Okay. Do they come from a
There's
particular star system? Go ahead. You can say what you were going to say.
they have this connection to water a lot, and they almost look like have you ever seen a water creature? Or I mean, you wouldn't have seen that. Um, it's not a siren, but it has, you
Like a
know,
mermaid?
yeah,
Kind of.
a mermaid type with legs, yes.
Okay.
And they they usually re- reside beside water. They like to go on the water. They like to hang around. They have a similar system that you see in fish as well. Similar features, but different. Um, when it comes to the star system, it's in between. I feel that I keep getting this reference with like Ursa Major, which is the constellation of the bear. Um, definitely feel it's either 1 second. And I think I see the point, but I don't know, is it at the bottom of the Ursa Major? You can almost see there's a star, but it's their place. Um, it's almost at the bottom of the bear's boot. It's weird.
So, is their planet named the same as their name, or is the planet called something else?
So Agio Conti is their name.
Okay.
Agio Kirata or
Okay.
Agio Kirata or Agio Quis. Oh my God, that's really hard to pronounce. Um, I'm sorry, it's just very hard to pronounce that.
It's okay. If you can't, it's okay.
Quis, Ag, Ag, Agio Quizatla, or it's, I don't know, they just speak in strange tongues. It's really difficult to
Okay.
just cipher. It's a very strange language.
Okay. Are they working with other humans as well?
Yes. Um,
Can you get a
um,
number? How many?
the number comes in the hundreds. There's definitely no, they don't do it with a lot of humans. The number comes down to 100. I would say probably 500, 800. No more than that. They're not. They don't really they don't like to draw too much attention to themselves. They're very elusive, you know.
Mhm. And that number's just for their species?
No, that's the human species they're working on
Right,
the
but
number of.
are they only working with 5 to 800 people? Like, is their species working with 5 to 800 people, and are there other species working with people as well?
Human is this species working with the our humans as well, or
No, as in, is the Agliocontius
Mhm.
their species? Are they only working within their own species as far as the abductions to do their experiments, or?
I think the I think there's been a problem with where they come from. I think their planet has become inhabitable in a way, so they have been sort of going back and forth between different planets and different dimensions, trying to find their home. They could go back, but it's not very habitable anymore. There's been some sort of change of climate or change of environment that has has dried up the, I would assume is their water supply, something they just they can no longer live on. So they have to keep traveling constantly. They're like they are basically space travelers in a way, almost like our nomadic gypsies, they travel and they inhabit certain places, mainly near lakes and the seas, perhaps some type of seas that are connected more to where the where the water supply goes into the starts from a river or a pond of water or a lake and goes into the sea.
Okay. So did they have a base under the sea?
Yes.
Do they say where that's at?
Um, they said there is a line that passes between the America, um, between the American, the South America. There's a line between what divides the continent of Europe and Africa, and just in between that line is where the main base is. But they do have smaller bases around the lakes, um, anywhere there, anywhere where it's hard to detect them. They're not really fond of showing themselves. So it's definitely, if you take a flight from Ireland, for example, from Dublin, and if you fly across, and you go to Boston, for example, just in between that flight area, just in between the sea over there, that's where they seem to like waters that are a bit colder than usual. It just keeps their existence and their technology work a bit better. You're definitely not they're definitely not beings that want to calm or conquer or but they need to preserve themselves, and they do like to conduct a lot of experiments on us, and they are learning from us. But at the same time, they do not want to integrate. They do not want to be part of us, but they do want to try and see how this hybridization program is going to be advanced and what that's going to lead to, possibly a preservance of their own species, because there could be fear that this species could die off. They're very fragile. They're not the kind of they're not the kind of species that are like the other races that you see around, like the other species. They're way well advanced. These are quite fragile, especially exposed to too much sunlight and exposed to too much unusual. If they're exposed to too much weather interference or UV sunlight or certain weather chemicals, they will they do like the the comfort of the dark and the cold of the sea is what I'm perceiving. And I'm not perceiving the evilness. I'm just perceiving elusiveness and not willingness to be among us. You know, they're very elusive species, and they seem to me that they are very vulnerable to attacks, and they kind of keep to themselves. But they're they are cohabiting with other species under the sea. There's a couple of bases that are under the sea. It's like a chain, it's a line that goes from what I mentioned. If you take a flight from Dublin to Boston, between that line is where they're attracted to this magnetic. They are attracted to this magnetic pull that is in the tectonic plates under the sea. It's a perfect hiding spot, and it's a perfect place where they can just camouflage. And not only that, it's the other species as well that they on daily basis communicate with, and they have good relations too. But as I said, they keep to themselves, and they operate under the sea. They have bases, they have built bases under the sea. They occasionally come out, mostly during dark hours is where they feel most comfortable, is where the skin doesn't, it's strange, it feels like I don't know if you ever heard of vampires, or if you've ever heard of species like that. They are very sensitive to sunlight and prefer the cold. Um, they do like research a lot. They are curious. As I said, they have lost their home space, home base. There is possibility to come back, but the possibilities are scarce in terms of life and reproduction. It's something about the lack of resources on their planet had made it impossible for them to reproduce properly, and hence why they've been attracted by the waves that we have sent from our planet, and they have followed they have followed that to us, and that's what draw them to discover us. And they do love the deep seas and the lakes. You'll find them in lakes, you'll find them in on shores. People will see them often. Mhm. And there's another thing that is being mentioned is that they were drawn to the signals that we are sending from Earth, but at the same time, it's dangerous because it has attracted attention from others. And while they say that they are not here to harm our race and they're not here to coexist either. They will really want to keep to themselves. But unnecessary attention has attracted other species to us, some of them being good, some of them being having bad intentions.
How long have they been here?
I think it started around it must have been sometime between the 1500s, 1400s, when around the time where the discovery of America happened, 1400 onward. And they haven't been here too long, as in opposed to other species that have been here longer. We're talking about thousands of years. They are not that recent. They do say that they are what they consider to still be new species on this earth among the many 1400s on for sure. I don't know. I feel like they would have been seen by what we call at the time the Native Americans. They would have built contact with them for a brief amount of time before they completely recluded and descended into the waters. And as I said, they really like to come out at night. They're really trying to find a way to preserve the existence of their own species. And in the process of doing so, they do realize that it's hard on the humans sometimes, but they seem like a very egocentric type of species. You know, they're very focused on preservance, and they they do say they teach knowledge to certain hybrids. They teach valuable knowledge. They pass on messages, but they will keep to themselves for now until further notice. Further notice means when the other species decide to take action, they might join, but for now they will remain where they are.
What do they mean by take action?
I mean by showing themselves to humans,
Okay.
and they do mention that it is very possible that by 2026 that we will already have certain species in government. And I just find that very strange because, I mean, I can't possibly even imagine what that's like. They say that the crucial years will be from next year to 2028, where there's a type of reunion, there's a comeback, an event that happens every couple of hundreds of years. They talk about a reunion of the so-called creators. Mhm. I just don't really understand. It's there's they're so nocturnal as well. Oh, what they remind me of cave, cave fish with kind of white and silver and
Hmm.
strange. I I never thought that I never thought that it could be a living being that breathes and talks and that looks like that.
Yeah.
It's unusual, very unusual. But they're not. They they say that we do not have to worry about them because they are not here to do any harm. They're merely just doing research and trying to create, as I said, they take human embryos and they're trying to find a way to preserve their species. And it's sad because they don't have much left. But their species out there much more advanced and with it with different intentions. They try to just keep to themselves for now and seeing where it's going to happen, what's going to happen. They are keeping dormant in their own little bases underneath the ocean.
Okay. How many hybrids are there on Earth for their species?
There have to be at least, they mention thousands,
Okay.
but they say the number is way less than what they call the main species has, and they mentioned they mention greys, they mention reptilians, they mention all sorts of different. They say that we are not even aware of how many species there are under the ocean, under the mountains, under the earth, basically all around us. Lots of species lost their home. Lots of species got attacked, um, and they were drawn by the earth in particular. Obviously, they're drawn to other places, but they're drawn to the earth because the earth has a tendency to send lots of signals into space, and it's
Mhm.
going and attracting a lot of attention. There's saying that it's that they are concerned for us as well because while they led themselves sort of the environment led to the depletion and destruction of everything on their planet. They say that the biggest threat that we have as humanity is the ability to be controlled by a higher force that's in place in our governments and in our places of power, that our own undoing and our own self-destruction is due to how easily we believe what we see and how easily we listen to the things that we're being told every single day. These things that we see and these things that we are being told are sometimes fabrication of those that wish to control the human as a race, and that have much darker intentions. But not all is bad, because there are beings that look after us at the same time. They just choose not to show themselves just yet.
Which races are the ones that have a negative agenda?
It's type of grays. The grays primarily, and we're not talking about the tall grays, we're talking about the small grays. They are working with what you call the draconids. So they're working together with some other species as well, but primarily being the draconids, the so-called reptilian creatures. They are working together, and they do not have good intentions. The intentions really is to dominate the planet, to make it habitable for themselves and themselves only. They are those that created us humans, and they created us. We were a project that was abandoned thousands of years ago, and now the project is almost complete, and now it's coming back. So you can call it a sort of family reunion of some sort with some species. They do mention that we have to watch the draconids and the greys. And when they say the greys, it's the short, not the tall ones. The tall ones they have their hybridization program, but they don't want to take over. They don't want to harm anybody. There's a lot of species that, due to the wars that are conducted by the greys and the reptilians, that have lost bases, and they have lost homes, and they have lost habitable environments around them, and they have been forced to seek refuge elsewhere. They hide in, they say, I know we hide as well in the underground spaces of the water, but the reptilians and the greys, they like to be close to mountains, under the mountains, inside the mountains, building bases, building tunnels, all sorts of things. We also have what they call the protectors of the earth, but the protectors of the earth are not big. They're not so numerous, but they are doing a good job at keeping it safe. The good colonies, the good protectors of the earth, they do mention 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different races that mainly the one of them are tall and green, and they have very, very large heads. I feel they have been drawn in. I think they showed up in Egypt at one point. They are also one of the creators, the ones that created us halfway through. And they are ones that also protect the main ones. I think that color gray is what I can describe with their skin. Um, they're the good ones. They protect us. And then there's um, there is the, as you call them, tall whites. They say there's different names for them. There's a couple of different ones of the whites. There's not just the one white,
Mm.
Nordic, whatever they call it. There's several
Mm.
different ones.
Okay.
There's the gray, the main gray ones, but they call them the perhaps Arcturians from Arcturus. There, there's so many of them. I just can't even keep count.
Mhm.
I don't know. More than they say that there's a lot of humans um on Earth, but there is a lot of different races too.
So when they said we have to be careful about who we believe and what we listen to,
Mhm.
what did they have to say about the drone phenomenon that's going on right now?
The drone phenomena is a mix of the government. Basically, the government is losing control because the creators have decided to potentially come back. But there's a more sinister threat is that we have some newer type of race that also has found us, and they are not very good at hiding their technology. They're not very good at hiding yet. They don't really understand what they're doing. I think there's gonna be a war of some sort, a war of the drones are definitely what we see with the human shape and form, human type of technology, spacecraft. These are definitely the governments, but they are trying to find a bigger threat. There is some type of bigger threat, and I feel that there could be some type of event where there is a fight between obviously the good races trying to protect Earth, but the government has no idea they have an idea, but they have never seen this new type of threat. There's a main leader of this new fleet. It's a different type of race. I think they were attracted by some um, sound, and they're lurking. They're not going to attack. They're not going to do anything yet. But there is some type of, I don't think they understand how much they can be seen so far. And the government is sending these drones up to try and figure out to tackle these. I believe that contact has been made with several different government agencies already. I think the new race, it's a weird, some are government drones and some are UFO. So what you see in the sky is a mix of government, UFO, and so on. It's a big mix of different types of aircraft, different types of spacecraft technologies. There are the anomalies that you see. The anomalies that you see is a product of, I guess, how they manifest the new race that came here, and they do resemble a type of gray alien, but they're much darker and more, they hold more sinister agendas. You know, they're very, they have very, um, they're not, they're very unemotional. They don't really, they see investment and then see profit into what our lands are. And I think that the presence of them have alerted other species
Mm.
to come. And now what is happening is there we you have different types of things in the sky, and it's confusing the people. Obviously the government understands the threat, but they do not want to, you see that they the government fears the new post threat, and they fear that what that might bring down upon the earth, and they are just so overshadowed by dark forces that are put in place by the races I talked about. Although there are different, as I said, again, different races that are trying to protect Earth, and they're the ones we see in the sky as well. Mainly, we are seeing our creator. He comes in the shape of a what our ancestors they used to call a big snake, and the movements are very snake-like. This is one of our creators. Let's see, they have a lot to do with snakes, with the symbol of the snake. Um, they're the, well, father of, I guess, humanity. But they've always been here on Earth, and they're trying to really, they're not bad. They're trying to protect us. And that's where I feel the reunion coming back. I keep getting this reunion of a family that comes every couple of years when different races try to attack Earth and try to take a hold. Is what the creator, the main one, comes to protect us. And obviously there's different galactic, as you would call them, federations. There's different ones. But they thought that they could keep it safe for a while, but it's a bit, as I said, it's attracting too much attention, and it's not attracting sometimes it's not attracting the good type of attention. And that's where you have to be careful, because there could be lots of things happening in the skies. There could be a lot of different battles, a lot of different, you see that they almost attack each other. They almost run away from each other because there's definitely the two races pursuing each other at the moment. There's a big war that could be brought about and it could also like manifest in terms of Earth, in terms of, governments blaming each other, basically. It just goes much deeper than we can even comprehend at the moment.
Is it only two species that are warring?
No, there are several. There's the main three ones now. For now, it's the reptiles. They are more dormant right now. They are the main, I feel, the main culprit of all of these negative things that have been happening. The Greys are doing jobs from the skies, abducting people, doing all sorts of experiments. The new race is now interesting because, as I said, they are much darker in color. They are type of Greys. They come from similar constellations of where the Greys have arrived from. You would almost say that they have similar DNA to them, but them three are active right now, with the reptilian being more dormant because they kind of like to, it's sinister. They like to sit and watch things unfold. Hmm. Um, there's beings that can be found on Earth, forest beings. There's beings that roam our Earth. I wouldn't say they came here. They've always been here in a way, but they call them the spirits of the forest, so they call them the earth beings. The elementals.
Mm-hmm.
They call us, or the the underwater race, they call us type of water elementals, and they find really a lot of pride in that
Mm-hmm.
the humans consider them to be. They like they like the humans consider them to be. It definitely boosts their importance as a species. It's interesting that they call them like this, but they're not. Obviously, they're not some folklore being. There are folklore beings that have been here longer and here since forever, but that's not us. We're different. We're newer species that came, as I said, with the discovery of the Americas is when that was quite evident.
Which star system does your soul come from or has incarnated to the most?
So my soul originates from the constellation of the snake, or as you would call it, the snake bearer. They do say that in the 12 zodiac there is only the 12 constellations. The 13th one is the constellation of the snake bearer, and there is a deep, there's a deep connection to that constellation. When the ancient times, temples were created on earth, several temples across the world, and these temples, they worshipped the snake. They worshipped different types of snakes, I suppose. But it's kind of funny to say they weren't really snakes. They were more like different. How will I describe this? They were they almost thought they were venerating the snake, but what they're actually venerating is a portal, interdimensional portal. So the temples were set around the earth, and my soul remembers that when I was in one of my origin planet, we brought this type of belief onto earth in the very beginning of when religion, pagan religions formed in across the world. They were brought here and they were prevalent for a while until they were forgotten. So my soul comes from one of these constellations, one of these old type of very old, oldest than it's older than Earth, very old.
What kind of planet was it? Can you
It's a planet.
describe it?
It's a planet that it's a smaller planet. It's not big. Has a type of almost resembles. It resembles, if I have to describe it, resembles something between Pluto and Neptune. Smaller in size, kind of greenish blue. It's very, in appearance, slow moving. That's why they like to compare that to Pluto and Neptune because it's slow moving,
Mhm.
so it appears. And I know that it was the beginning of times that were brought to Earth. And the very beginning of times is where they remind me of my home, is with the lots going on in the sky, lots of stars and lots of meteorites, lots of happenings. I th- I believe my place of origin like to explore. We were They like to explore the sky. They like to explore astronomy, and they
Mm.
like to be designers of the sky. Uh, the sky is purple with lots. You can see every sort of star. You can see every sort of planet. You can see it from the Earth. Well, what I call Earth because I don't know what other type planet to call it. You can see things much up close. There are temples on this planet. There are different types of alchemy, different type of elements that we work with. You might call it crystals, you might call it stones, rocks, a lot of rocky compounds. I keep hearing the beginning of times where when it all began. It's where I would assume that we come from. It's where I don't know why they say it's the beginning of time. The beginning of I don't understand. Is that the beginning of human time or the very beginning of our time?
Maybe by the beginning of the universe?
Maybe. And it was they mention astronomy, they mention alchemy. They like to mix and alchemize compounds, create different things, create different. They have these like labs They definitely are creators of something. And it's really beautiful when you see it. I think
Hmm.
that a lot of alchemists that we had on here on Earth and we still have here on Earth is actually will identify with this energy. There's something that there's a type of connection to the snake, but I think the snake itself isn't an actual snake. Something that has to do with a reptile type of force. It's a portal, basically. It's the energy, it's like a little vortex, a kind of
Hmm.
a snake-like energy that engulfs beings and objects. And what it does, it purifies it, it heals, it can do wonders, but at the same time it can destroy very violently if it wants to. But I don't think that's what the basis of that energy is. Like, I don't think that's why the energy was used.
Hmm.
Mm. I like to think about that place a lot. And I like to see the temples that were left, in connection to these, I would say, kind of small creators, the little creators of you mentioned creators of the universe. Well, almost so, because they created so many things. They were just able to transmute energy into create portals, create many different things. They are really the alchemists of the universe, is what they are. What I feel they are.
So more like a source being,
Yes,
source
the
of God.
source. Yes,
Yeah.
the source of God, which is what God is actually the purest source of love and the purest source of light in the entire universe. And this is what all of beings, at least the ones that are like humans, like us, are the ones that acknowledge and work with. Unfortunately, the other races are not very, they're blocked off to that force. They work with different forces, but they do not function from the source. And, we know what the source is.
You said there's creator beings. Is
Hmm.
there more than one source then?
Yes. There's, there's God. There's the main source, the source of all, the perfect, how will I describe this? The perfect energy source that rules all, so to speak. But then you have different types of creators. The main ones were when they first came to Earth, were the alchemists, and they created humans almost in their image. They roamed the Earth with humans. They lived with humans. They cohabited. They taught us different ways. They shared some of their power. This is the family of cradle of humanity, the main creator. I believe that through introspection, with our history, we are getting so close to understanding these creators. Perhaps they always been here. I think they left for a while. They came back now. I think that's why their reunion
Mm.
is about the comeback, the family. I just keep hearing family reunion, but I think it's the family reunion with the creator.
Mm.
Yes, they do talk about the comeback in the Bible. They talk about the comeback of God. I think this is a metaphor to the comeback of the creator, because I think that the creator is the creator loves us all. We are the creator's children. They made us, so he or she or it, whatever you want to call it, it's their duty to come and look after us and save us, you know. And that's why I think they talk a lot about the basically reading the Bible will give you lots of references to what our main questions are, but not the Bible only. It's the other holy books that were left will give you an idea of what the future is going to look like. And when they talk about the revelation and when they talk about that's what they mean, the comeback of the creator, but not the way they describe it's all a huge metaphor for this event, for the comeback. Now I'm talking about the main creator here, the source of who we are, who we are embedded into. Their DNA is embedded into us, into many of us. Now, some of us are the product of different races. That's why when they come back, not a lot of us will feel and will identify with them because some of them are not, they do not come from the creator. It's a, there's the universe and there is there's so much history. And unfortunately, it's been a lot of lies and deceit with our history. But I think we're remembering, we're coming up because the closer that the creator comes to us, the closer we remember, the more we remember as a species until it's here and until we really feel this, we will remember all, you know, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that when that happens, it's what going to bring to what they call the resurrection, the souls of the people. They don't mean the souls of the people rising from the dead. What they mean is remembrance of who we are, mainly. I know I'm saying a lot. It's what's been coming through. And I know it could be difficult to understand, but with time it will make a lot of sense.
Do they have a date for them coming back or the source coming back?
I'm getting the April 2027, and if not that, the other date is sometime 2034. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting a strong April. I'm getting whatever is happening in next year is going to keep happening. But I feel that by April 2027 we will have obvious, obvious contact. And when I say obvious contact, it's like obvious presence. No, we will choose whether we will, as humanity, have to make a choice ultimately. What's going to happen to us? And as long as people understand, then choose truth above lies and deceit. That's where we should be okay. I think the creator has uh, has our back in any case. When the creator, when they created us, was very fond of that creation. That's why God calls us their children. That's because they say we are created in God's image. We are created in the creator's image. And that's what we are. Some of us, at least.
What do you mean by some of us?
Not all of us. Some of us were created in that image. Some people are
Okay.
different. Some people don't come from that. I know that I said there's one source, but that one source is the source that like rules every atom, so to speak. Does that
Okay.
make sense
Mm-hmm.
at all? And then there's different, I would say, light sources or sources of darkness that are illuminated in different ways and they manifest in different ways. So some species of humans, although resembling the ones of the creator, are not actually from the same source. I don't know if that makes sense.
Are they from one of the other sources? You said there were multiple, so
Multiple sources. Yes, one of the other sources. Some sources are source of there is when I say there's a much bigger, larger, the big source of creation, so to speak. But also the big source of the undoing, a source of destruction, and a source of darkness. That is the second source as opposed to the light. That's why they say, as above, so below. There has to be, without light, there couldn't be no darkness. Without darkness, there could be no light. So some some come from that destruction force. And it's a very dark one. It's not something that I like to speak fondly of. It's a very dark and destructive type of force. I do believe the reptilians and the greys and the dark, small humanoids. I don't know what they're called because I have never seen them before. I wouldn't even know what they are, but they come from this like dark source, and they are void of empathy and they're void of light. They function on a different type of frequency as well. You will see that they like deeper frequencies, and you will see that light, as we call them, light beings, they like higher frequencies, is what they use to show themselves and to function and to, the dark sources as another story. It sounds like what we watch, the battle between the light and the dark is always present, and it always will be present in a way. And when they talk about the dark, when they talk about the wormholes, the black holes, These are just like portals into that darkness that it's the source. It kind of destroys everything in front and it swallows everything it sees into this darkness. That's where the entities come from. What we call entities, or we so call them demons. It's a big, there's so much going on. It's very, I don't even know where to. There's this type of knowledge that we only have around about 20% of that. We don't even realize how deep it goes. We have not come to the point where we can understand that, but we will in due time, obviously.
Perfect. So, what did you come down here to do? Why did you incarnate this time?
Okay, I did not want to incarnate. Like I really did not want to incarnate. It's hard because I wasn't supposed to be here to begin with. But I suppose I made an agreement and I said, yes, I'll come if I am going to watch the earth go wild and things happening. I want to bring to protection from the earth, and I want to protect earth from its base, which is here on earth, and I cannot do so too much when I'm, in my own realm. And it just, so this, I just miss my family so much. It's not a joke feeling like a alien walking earth every single day.
Yeah.
It feels lonely and it feels sad. And I would rather, I am looking forward to the day I come back to my source finally. But for the time being, I must be here and I must try and protect Earth and heal what can be repaired on Earth before the end of times. And it's what I came here to do, to try and bring to transmuting energy, whether is by birthing something on here on Earth, whether it's by changing the Earth's energy, transmuting the energy of certain humans or my own energy to change, to bring on to change and to transmute and to heal, basically to repair what's been everything that is damaged. I wouldn't even say heal as much as transmute energy. Someone has to act as a conductor of that energy. And you have healers, you have those who mend things, but I conduct things and I transmute and channel energy. And that's what my main role is here. And yes, I miss my family so much, and I really want to try and see if I can get a little bit closer to them in any of the holy sites, because that's gonna help the energy conduct quicker. and it's gonna give me an energy charge that I can then pass on to other people in order to rid them of negative forces and influences. Talk about it as if you picture exorcism, you cast out, you clean, basically. We're like the cleansers of the alchemists, the transmutations of energies, the exorcists of that walk the earth. It's very hard to do the job when you're up in another realm. You sometimes have to come down and do it, which is something that I wasn't really keen to do, I suppose, but that's what I came here to do, and that's where my mission is, as long as I'm alive and as long as I can to do that. And its main goal is to protect and to, as I said, to try to keep the barriers of protection as much as I can. Um, that's that's the answer to the question.
Are there any messages that we could pass on to humanity, what that would pertain in this day and age?
Yes, active. It would be good to activate certain points across the earth. We're talking about points where the energy, the magnetic field is the strongest, is the most powerful, to connect these dots, whether energetically, whether physically, in however way we like it, to create a shield around our planet and to keep the shield moving, to keep the shield strong enough from negative outside forces to try and penetrate deeper. Because at this stage, we are very under threat, not only from the earth, we're under threat from the sky. I think as humanity, the sooner we realize who the creator is and who some of our truth is, the sooner we realize it, the sooner we can act, the sooner we can come together as a species, long forgotten species. We can transmute the energy. We can physically, spiritually create a shield that is going to act so strong against. I know there's spacecrafts and there's technology, but there's nothing like a good spiritual shield that reaches the edges of our planet and the edges of Earth. It's very powerful energy. So that's the message for humanity. The message for humanity is come together and create a shield together. There's not a big chance otherwise to. They could obviously there is help that comes, but the help of, as I said, the galactics, there are not many left. They're getting outnumbered. If we come together, we join us as humans. There's plenty of us on here on this earth, and we come together, whether in spiritual form or physical form, and we come and we overthrow these energies, the negative energies, and we transmute them. We will completely change the course of our earth, the course of our humanity. And I see that when many people come together with the creators and with the other races, is when they can shift earth into a beautiful place of of coexistence and peace and prosperity, away from the negative influences. But first we have to exercise, we have to get rid of negative influence. One of them and it's going to sound ridiculous. One of them being the culprit in modern religion is they work with very dark forces, but I don't really see, as I said, if we awake soon enough as a species, then we can. I do really like that people that go to certain places, they go to certain sacred places and they celebrate these places and they create these magnetic shields around them. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing. I think it's good for the shield getting stronger. And fortunately, there's not many that do that nowadays.
Well, can you mention what these specific places are so that those called to do that work know?
Yes, so there's specific places that I know of, and there's more that I quite don't know. You look at all of the places that I'm gonna give you examples. I'm gonna give you examples of there's places around where I live in Ireland. I think there is the New Grange.
Uh-huh.
It's an ancient tomb. There's also the place where they say it's the tomb of the Egyptian Queen Scotia. The Egyptian Queen Scotia, she wasn't just a queen, she was a hybrid, and she died in Ireland. That's how Scotland got its name, from Scotia. There's a tomb of hers. She was eventually married off to a king in Ireland. Her tomb is really powerful. It holds a lot of electric magnetic field. There's a Stonehenge, obviously. There definitely is another sacred big place up in Scotland. There's a cave somewhere at the coast of Scotland as well. I don't know its name, and I've never seen this place, but it's almost I'm being shown there's a big cave into there's a big electromagnetic field over there. There's places like what used to be the jungles of Brazil, lots of little places, lots of little bases. They should explore that a little bit more. We're not very good at that. There's the places in Chile, there's places, sacred places in Argentina. There's obviously the sacred place of Peru, Machu Picchu. There's the pyramid in Mexico. There is there's other places. South America is just full of these places. There's places up in around is it the Shasta Mountain? I
Mount
think
Shasta.
Mount
Hmm.
Shasta, yes. Then there's places up in the north of America. There's a hill that represents a snake hill. I don't know what it's called. Uh, I couldn't tell of the name, but it's a sacred place.
Snake mounds.
Snake mounds, exactly. These are the places that um, hold a lot of uh, electromagnetic field, and it's why these places were chosen is not by some random. They just wanted to choose these places. They chose these places because they have specific tectonic plates underneath them. They are generating so much power that you can technically open portals in these places, and they're all kind of interconnected. There's a place in what they think is a hill in Bosnia, but it's not a hill. It's an ancient pyramid, and I think now they're discovering that this isn't just a hill. So there's one all over the world. There's Georgia. There's what they call it, the ancient Babylonia, the Middle East, Sumeria. They've had many places there. It's actually where ancient Sumeria, where the snake cult was first founded. Then it spread across Europe at some stage, spread across the Americas as well. They chose different places. There's definitely, when I look at Asia, when I look at India, Sri Lanka, I look at Mongolia. Mongolia was a big one. It's probably all covered in grasslands right now. Steppe, where those places are invisible. But I think we'll find them in due course. There's these places are all around the world. You know, it's what connects us all to I would call it our cradle of humanity. It's beautiful. So we can find these places. There's lots of places. The Americas are the ones that have them the most. And definitely parts of India as well.
Mm.
I think India holds a lot of special, a lot of electromagnetic force, same as Americas are. I think that's why they first are going to come to the Americas, because they always do, don't they? They come where the magnetic pole is the strongest, and the strongest one is in America. So
Mm.
it's a lot can happen coming from America. A lot of good change can happen, and it can spread across the whole world. There's a reason why these places have gone through so much massive change throughout history. It used to be the cradle of humanity. Well, at one point, the same as ancient Sumerian, Babylonian. You know, these they spread all over the world, but most of them you will find in the Americas for sure.
You said there was the main one was in America. Do you know where?
Central America,
Okay.
definitely. I'm getting a I'm getting a certain mountain that when you hear Native Americans speaking about it, it's because they knew that this was a huge hotspot for whatever energy. It's a massive portal. I don't know where, I don't know where this mountain is. It's a big mountain. It's huge. And it's spoken in folklore. I think it's in Central America, if I'm not wrong. I don't know where it is. I'm not, I just see the place. It's like a huge mountain.
Thanks for watching. If you've had a traumatic abduction experience and you'd like some help, or if you'd like to be on the show, you'll find the links in the description. And I'd really appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, and share. It really helps me out.